Welcome to General Admission. Today is August 10th, and we have an interview for you today.
Massive interview.
It's a big one. The band is called Town Liar, who you may or may not have heard of, but definitely heard of all the members in the band, which is what made this so fun. We have Benny Horowitz, who is the drummer for the Gaslight Anthem. We have Jason Shevchuk, who was in Kid Dynamite, and one other band that I'm blanking on, along with Nick Remondelli, who was in that other band that I'm blanking on.
I think it's Bound. With it Bound?
Bound, yeah. That sounds pretty good. I like that. I think that's right. But yeah, these guys have all been in the New Jersey punk scene for a pretty long time. If you listen to our book club episode last week, we talked about Benny and how he was booking shows at like Elks Lodges when he was 15. So he did a lot for the New Jersey scene, and we get into all of that in the interview. It was a lot of fun.
And you could tell he's a podcaster because like he just every time he talked, like we were hooked.
Yeah.
And he had some pretty good tangents.
Great tangents. Yeah. He always had like a random thought that didn't have a lot to do with what we were talking about, but tied in and just like made for a lot of fun conversation.
Like QuikChek and Wawa comes like right to mind.
Yeah. Do you know his podcast name off the top of your head? I've been listening to
the track.
Off the track. We really came prepared for this intro. But yeah, if you just search Benny Horowitz under like podcasts on Spotify, you'll get his podcast. I've been really enjoying it. I tuned in like kind of out of prep for this, but I've been sticking with it because it's just good talk. They don't even stick like exclusively to music. They have like sports segments where they'll just kind of like talk NFL for a little bit, and it's very like free flowing.
Going off track.
Yeah, nailed it. Yeah, a lot of fun. I need to disclaim myself for a minute because
the 45 sound coming through your grandmother's turn the record over.
But I have a spin zone for this one. We were talking about meeting Eli, and I asked him if Eli, said his favorite record was the 45 sound, which, as we all know, just not me in that moment, the album is called the 59 sound. But if I'm being Eli, maybe Eli would have got it wrong. So I didn't get it wrong. Eli got it wrong in my hypothetical. Boom. Spin zoned.
So the Super Bowl 45 sound? Or were the Giants in Super Bowl 45? Or is that 40? Was 42 and...
I'm not a good sports history person. I just watch the games and kind of forget about them. So I'm not even going to pretend to know.
So I might be wrong.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll round up.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, it was super cool interview. Their bass player is also Heath Saraceno from Midtown. He usually plays guitar, but he played bass on this album for this band, and we talked about him a bunch. He wasn't here, but the rest of the gang was, and yeah, they kind of led the conversation. We had some questions and chimed in here and there, but it just felt like we were just all hanging out, hearing stories, and listen to them talk about this band, other bands, shows they've done, shows they're going to do. It was a good time.
And they have an awesome record that's out on Bandcamp exclusively.
Yes, which we also get into.
Yeah, definitely recommend either going on there and streaming till you can't stream anymore, or just throwing $5 towards the band. It's worth it.
Yeah, and I think you can listen like a lot because I've listened a bunch and it hasn't kicked me out yet. I should probably just pay the $5, but we'll get there. Oh, you forgot to ask him if the album cover was his face, Brett.
I did forget to ask him that. I remember as soon as we hung up.
We'll never know.
We got lost in the hoagie debate.
Yeah. A lot of Jersey talk, but I would expect nothing less. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Everyone was really cool. We are grateful for their time. Benny's got a lot coming up. The new Gaslight album just being announced. Just did a song with Bruce pretty big deal. Speaking of all things Jersey,
which we touch on too.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So here it comes, the interview. We will see you guys next week with new front bottoms, more book club, and whatever else we decide to talk about next week.
And your Metallica and Fish recaps.
Yes. Oh yeah, we've been to some shows. Yeah, we'll get into it all. But that's next week. This week is Town Liar, so we hope you enjoy the interview, and we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy. Here is Town Liar. We are now joined by Nick Remondelli, Jason Shevchuk, and Benny Horowitz of the New Jersey punk band Town Liar. Their album Lies 1 through 7 is out now on Bandcamp. It's awesome, so go listen to it a bunch. Guys, so here we are. Sometimes we wonder how you're doing. Thank you so much for coming on. It's great to have you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brett just caught you guys, what was it, last week in Asbury?
A couple weekends ago at Trinity Church in Asbury, because my wife Sandra works for New Jersey, New York Baykeeper.
Oh, really?
So
Cool.
she dragged me to the
yeah.
show, and I was very pleasantly surprised that it was Benny's band, and got to see all you guys too. So it was incrable. Went home and
So
bought the album on Bandcamp. So
Oh, thank you. You were dragged. You were dragged. there,
Dragged.
You say.
not dragged, but
I heard dragged.
I'd like to
used the
make
wrong
this
word.
clear. I didn't want to go. I wound up there. And I was pleasantly surprised. I think that's the trick to all of this is low expectations.
Yeah, I think that's like the key to our success.
Yeah,
is low
uh-huh.
expectations.
well, Sandra did it was not the greatest like pitch job. It was like, oh, there's like this charity show we're gonna go to. I was like, okay. I had no idea like it was like a rock show in Asbury Park. So
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
where the surprise came from. I should have added some more context there.
Yeah, I didn't know if like hardcore punk shows were up the New Jersey, New York Baykeeper alley, but I thought
That's
it was
why
a cool.
I was surprised.
It was a cool mixing of worlds. It was such a positive experience on all the different angles. I loved it.
It was a fun show.
Yeah,
Had a very like old school like a basement show feel to it, which is really cool to be a part of.
for sure. It's a positive thing about getting into this again is realizing how little changes. It's nice,
Yeah.
People get old. They say, "Oh, scene is dead. Things are dead," and they're not dead. You're just old, not paying attention anymore. They're still around. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, I kind of like the whole Bandcamp thing too. Like, I mean, it would be slightly easier if your album was on Spotify, but I like the you feel like you're like a part of like a secret club or something. Like you got to go to this other website and check it out there. Was there plans to like go to Spotify, or is it just like you threw it on Bandcamp and that's just how it's been going?
Sort of just how it's been going. Like, I think like when we put it on a streaming service, somebody has to be accountable for that. Like, Bandcamp is just fine, right? Like, and we know what's selling. We know the numbers every day. And it's like, it's cool because we get the proceeds like immediately, and it's enough to like, we could pay for our practice space when we practice, we got enough to track drums for the next record, and it's cool to just get it immediately. We don't have to wait. We don't have to get pennies per stream, if that.
Yeah, we were
It's-
just
it's
talking about that $5 for the album. Like, how many times would we have to listen to it on
Right.
Spotify for that to even like show up on your end?
Shit,
and it's
man.
fine. And we know
Couple
like
hundred.
if someone's gonna shell out the $5, like they really want it,
hmm
that's what's cool.
Yeah,
And
for
Bandcamp's
sure.
got like a great app too. Like it pretty much is like Spotify, only it helps the bands out like a million times more, I feel like.
Oh yeah. And then they have Bandcamp Fridays where all the proceeds go to the bands?
Oh, that's
I
cool.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
It was
Huh.
pretty funny. When we were, I'm a little bit of a Luddite, and when we were practicing for some of the shows, I'd be listening to our Bandcamp while I'm playing drums to play along and, reacclimate with the songs. And then Bandcamp started getting angry with me for not purchasing the record because I just kept streaming it over and over again. They're like, it was basically like the nicest way to say, like, listen, asshole, like, you've listened a lot. Like, you should probably pay the $5. and then I had to have Jay send it to me on Dropbox. So I had to start getting yelled at by Bandcamp.
And
I just
you're
got excited
responsible
because I
for
saw
all
the
those
streams.
What's that? Yeah, I'm a good like 50 of
them.
them getting ready for shows and practices.
That's amazing. It's got to be fun too. Like you guys have all been in so many different projects. Like the beginning stages of a band has to be a great time. Just like that fresh, like a new relationship, a new like it's just exciting. And because you guys formed as Town Liar, what like within the past year, it feels like.
It's been we started in 2020.
Oh shit.
Nick and I
Bandcamp lied to
did.
me.
But the record we released the record in October, I think.
Yeah, September, October, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
so yeah, we practiced for almost a good 8 or 9 months before that came out. Not
Yeah.
straight. I mean, maybe we had 8 practices before we recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we all had to get like we waited till we were all vaccinated first, right, Jason? Like before we got in a room. Yep. And then it was just Jason and I, and then we jammed with a different drummer first. It just didn't really gel. Great guy, great drummer, just didn't really feel right. And then we kind of, I think that's why it kind of took so long. But then we hit our stride once, Benny and Heath, I think, joined.
Is that why on like the credits on Bandcamp, like it says that each of you recorded your own parts? Like you were in different rooms for some of it?
Well, we did the drums at Studio 4. I think that's like the most important thing to get right, is to get the drums mic'd properly in a nice room. And then we brought those files home and Heath did his parts, sent me his files, and everything else was done in this room.
Oh wow.
Jay, do you have a cool name for that room? The
My
Beat
beat
Laboratory?
My beat laboratory.
Of course.
The Dynamite Den?
And I did my guitars with Jason at Jason's brother's house.
Oh yeah, wait.
Yeah, we did at Jeff's house.
Oh
Wait,
right.
Why'd you do it at
we-
Jeff's house
we did
instead
the
of one of your
retakes here.
houses?
I think because
Well,
it was empty, right? He had that empty.
yeah, you
room.
know what? I couldn't get the family out for a full day.
Oh, right.
Just to like crank up an amp. So yeah, that's right. We did it at my brother's house.
It was
'Cause he-
ideal though. I mean,
Yeah, because he
we
has
cranked it in that room.
another room we could put the amp in. We had I brought my computer down. We had that in another room, so it was nice.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
I'm
I
you,
gonna
forgot
have-
about that.
you
I'm gonna
had
have
like
one of your
all the
kids
drums. Sorry, Ben.
Do one of those funny, like the David Lee Ross singing without music on YouTube. Like those
Like a
funny bits.
soundboard?
I'm gonna have one of your kids just record you outside the door when you're doing demos at the house.
Just random harmonies
My
happening.
gibberish,
through the door.
gibberish demos.
Yeah.
Put on Bandcamp too.
Yeah, that'll be 8 through 16. Do that.
So you guys had drums and bass done, and then you recorded the rest over it for like.
Well, I think
everything?
what
Or-
I did is I did my tracks first, right? And then I sent them out to Heath and Nick just to like, because Nick hadn't finished his parts, right? That's
pretty much.
you were-
Yeah,
you were
I had most of
70%
it done. Yeah,
And then everything was done to a click we had the drums in there, but it wasn't mixed. So Heath, I think he used Logic. He did his bass parts in Logic and just sent me his tracks. I threw them in and everything lined up perfect. And yeah, Nick and I just recorded everything here and my brother's house.
Nice.
yeah. We banged out the guitars in one day, and then you did the vocals after that.
Yeah.
It's crazy how good like Heath's bass parts sound, considering he just like recorded it on his own and sent it over.
He's
But
a new bass player too, so credit
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah,
He's
we were
like-
talking about that earlier because he's usually guitar like
Mhm.
everywhere.
he
right?
rips on guitar, so yeah, it's
He
It
rips
kind
on
of
bass.
works though. You kind of hear it in his bass playing because he does like
Yeah.
a lot of runs and like I don't
For
know
sure.
like notes instead of just like sitting on like one note for a while and then doing a fill. Especially
he's-
like
he
Fine
sings
Again
like an
or
angel,
Fine
too.
All Over. Fine
He's
All
a-
Over is like so good, and like Nick and Heath are just grooving on. I mean, you're all grooving on it, but like, man, I really like that song.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Heath's insane. Like he plays in drop D, which is crazy. Like he keeps his bass in drop D the entire time. So like I don't even know how he in his mind calculates like where to go and how to like because we're all in standard tuning except for one song. So it's crazy.
He's like so loose, like playing live too. Like you'd think he was a bass player all his life, like the way he's playing that night.
Yeah, it's funny because I hit him up on we talked on Instagram for a while. We were looking for a bass player and we didn't really have anybody. And he and I had just been talking back and forth through Instagram. I apparently we've known each other, but I don't, it's like I've forgotten like how we knew each other. And I asked him one day and he's like, I don't really play bass. And I was like, in my opinion, like the best bass players were guitar players. Like that's just kind of been my theory. And like he came in and he nailed it. And like the thing I love about Heath is like he's got the ability to just sort of transform a song into something completely different. I think the second song, what is the second song called? Spicier. Like he completely like changed the feel of that song like when he came in and added his bass to it. And it was just kind of became something completely different.
Yeah, it's good to have he has a really different sensibility. I mean, I guess all three of us do when it comes to what notes should go where. But his sensibility, like he did things that I would never have done or didn't even think of. Like he would just hit a note somewhere that just really complemented what was going on. Like even when we sent him the first like couple tracks to just see what he thought, he sent back versions with him playing on them and we were like, okay, cool, can you practice?
Jason, your voice like kind of holds it all together too. Like you have like the perfect voice for like everything the band's doing behind you. It's like I feel like it stands out more than like more new music I've listened to recently. Like it's just like it all just kind of pulls you in, just like what really hooked me that night.
Oh, that's good. And for you to say that after watching us live is really nice. It's like really validating, I think, because it's only our third show, and like, I feel like it doesn't feel like our third show. Everything feels good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you looked
Couldn't
like you
tell
were
it was your
having
third
fun.
show.
I was able to watch one song on YouTube. There was like a pretty great put together video up there. I don't know if it's on your
That's
page or
Jay from Mass Broadcast has been comes and films everything. He's awesome.
Nice.
Does
Yeah,
great content, and he's been to all of our shows. And he's videotaped them all.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, the video
also,
was really well put together.
I think it's also a testament to how the organization's escaping me, Benny, but like the guys that run the space, the sound system was incredible.
Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, the Light Brigade Collective down in Asbury.
Like those guys just like they put it together and everything just sounded so good.
Yes. Yeah, that room and that space, they got like a special thing going on down there. It's great. I was so happy to be a part of it,
What's crazy about that was it looked like he was controlling the sound from his phone, which I've never seen before.
We were all blown away by that.
About that.
Yeah, it kind of scared the shit out of me a little as an old school. I'm like, wait, don't you need like a box truck and you got to bring this shit in and this shit in and some giant board? He's just sitting there. I'm like, seriously, an app? All right,
he's taking your orders.
Yeah,
for what you want in your monitors. Like, what do you want in your
like,
monitor? Just
doing Uber Eats while he's like mixing a kick. Like, I don't know. But listen, kids these days, they can multitask in ways that we can't.
I couldn't do that.
He's just like playing Minecraft on the side and just controlling the volume.
But then you run the risk of like once someone figures it out, then you get hackers. Then they just come in and start messing with band sounds. So it's a tightrope. You got to be careful. You can't really you got to keep that software proprietary.
That would have been pretty funny though if our show at Trinity Church suffered from foreign interference. That's how we're getting on the news,
They run the vocals through a pitch shifter.
Yeah. Chinese malware has attacked Town Liar. News at 9.
I mean, what is it? No press is bad press, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. If that's how you got to get up there, do the thing. It's like when that fucking Patriot Front or whatever guy was testifying in front of Congress wearing a Descendant shirt. And everyone's like, no, no, not that. No.
That might be bad press.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Yeah.
At least they had songs at least that backed the idea that they weren't supportive of things like that, you know. They had receipts.
Oh yeah. Benny, it must have been crazy for you. You went from Trinity Church to Prudential in like the matter of a week.
It was pretty cool.
Which one
Surreal,
was
you know?
better?
What's that?
How's it compare? I feel like no matter how big a venue you play, like the small venues still have to just be way more fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think actual like, well, you know, it's funny when you play shows like that, and I've experienced this a little doing some opening tours. Is, you know, the first like 10 rows of people in a stadium like that are people who showed up at like 10:30 in the morning with face paint on to see the Misfits, you know, like
Yeah.
they're like the diehards, you know. So I did grow accustomed to like, you know, and I did a tour like opening for Rise Against when you just see some kid like in the front just on the riser, just like like take a little snooze during your set or something like that. And
Just like
so
throw
there
a
was some,
drumstick at him.
yeah, you know, I have taken to like trying to interact with people like that and fuck with them a little. Like it makes me like, it's better than like getting harumphy about it, you
Yeah.
know? Like yeah, like one time I opened for Soundgarden in Italy, and there was just all these like Italian metalheads in the front who were just heckling the shit out of us. But I was like, I don't know, there was something about him where I was like, I guess I could see a little bit of myself in him, you know, and I kind of liked them and respected what they were up to. And by the end, we were having a blast together, you know. They still didn't like my band, but kept the vibe good, you know. So there was some of that at the Misfit show, and it was just like a kind of like, it's like a wacky, surreal, just whirlwind of an experience when you're there, and it's just like, wait, why? I'm like, the Devils play here. This is strange, you know. So the show kind of whizzed by without even like being able to kind of suck a lot of it in, you know. The things that stand out in my head are seeing like Jerry Only's Corvette and shit like that, because he has like a Misfits Corvette with skulls and
Oh.
shit on it, you know.
That's sick.
But yeah, I mean, like I grew up in things like the church, you know. I grew up in Elks lodges and churches and basements and like and still do really believe in the kind of thing that a small DIY local experience can give to people, you know, like can be really special to people, can provide a kind of like place and a safe space for people in certain places that, you know, can't get it. You feel like it's yours, you know, like when you're at fucking Prudential Center, you know, it's not yours. If you're at the Trinity Church like a couple times and you meet like a couple people, you're like, this is my place. And it gives you that sense of like propriety and community that goes along with it, you know, which makes a place like that just immediately comfortable and to me like totally vital, you know. So when I step into a show like that, it's more of like, it feels like a warm blanket on a cool night, you know. It's like, it's what I know, and I think and I'm certainly way more comfortable in that environment. That's a fact.
Yeah. Asbury's great for it too, because you have like the Lanes, House of Independence, the Saint, like there's all these just small places, and it's great for like bands for that size.
Yeah, and I mean, I
fun.
think to cap there, you know, that I think that's been a problem in New Jersey for a while, is having venues that can cater to bands that, you know, draw 50 people, draw 100 people, which is significant, but you can't book a House of Independence or an Asbury Lanes drawing like 50 people. So you kind of get stuck in bars and you get stuck in the other small venues. And I think that mid-range venue, the small space venue with like 100 to 200 cap, is like really it's missing in New Jersey. It has been for a while.
What's cool about that show too is like once you guys were done playing, like you all got to like walk off and then immediately hang out with your families afterwards, which is like you don't really get to see that at shows, which is cool to see.
Yeah, it's been a kid fest in some of these.
Yeah.
We've been our first 3 shows have been very spirited, you know, like the first show was a basement, super tight, super hot. Second show was like a free show at a brewery. That was just cool. Like all the kids came out. And then this show was at the church. Like just no proper venues. Everything was sort of makeshift. And like we're not playing our first real venue until October. And that's awesome.
Right. And when I
Where's
met
that?
Jay and Nick a million years ago, I mean, we were playing backyards, people's
literally.
not only basements, like people's parents' basements. You
Mhm.
know, like
Yeah, I think like back then, I think our band played a real venue. We played the Stone Pony once.
That's it, right? I think that might
does
Everything
have
else
does down under count?
Oh,
yeah,
Down
that
Under
does
count it, yeah.
That
Down under
counts.
counts. Like
Yeah.
Down Under, and then eventually the Melody were kind of like the only
Yeah.
options for for bands like that. Yeah, but
I would say like 99.5% of the shows that Bound played were sung through a shitty PA.
oh
know?
yeah.
Where miking amps was like,
Or the
not
stage
even a
was falling
thing.
apart.
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember in Erie when the stage came
Oh
up?
yeah, it was tables put together.
Oh
Just, like,
really? Your
Put a
stage
bunch
was
of like
tables.
folding tables together.
It was like playing on quicksand.
Like
Oh
between
no.
like every 2 minutes, someone would have to push the stage back together.
It gives a charm.
Yeah.
I feel bad in hindsight because when I was a kid playing in bands, I overused the China cymbal badly. I was an over
everybody
China player. So the idea that people were in a basement right next to that thing, I just kind of feel bad. I feel like I fucked up like a couple people's like high frequencies for life by bashing that China cymbal too much.
You do it to yourself at all, or do you have like earplugs in?
I do now. I didn't when I was younger, and I do have some loss of frequencies, especially in the high end. Yeah. So I'm careful about it now, but I did fuck myself up over the years.
Yeah, we were trying to figure that out the other day. We're like, maybe we should start like wearing something to all these shows, but
Yeah, you should.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
probably at this point.
a
They
lot.
make-
I
they-
don't know. It's one of those
they
things.
make,
How
like-
old are you fellas?
32.
yeah.
Yeah. Start now.
And they like the earplugs that I use, they were like $40. They're not molded or anything. They're just from Amazon. And you could still hear everything super clear. They just cut out those damaging frequencies.
They're like the headphone looking ones, right?
Yeah, they're just like plastic rubber
Yeah.
earbuds you just pop in. And you could even like there's inserts. They're super affordable and everything still sounds really good. And you don't have to take them out to talk to somebody. You can leave them in all night. Like you don't
Oh,
wanna
really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good perk.
Yeah.
I always just lose earplugs, so periodically I just buy a tub of foamies from
Yeah.
CVS, like
That's
the
a trick,
100 pack of foamies, so I don't care about them, and I can just like hand them out, and But I have these like the inner ears, like where they mold to your ear now that I use for Gaslight, and those are saving my hearing, and in that capacity for sure. Even though my instinct is I want to fucking take them out and hear everything louder. Like that's what I want.
Yeah.
But I also want to like in 10 years not be like, ah, ah.
Yeah.
Nothing
Controlling
tough about that,
You'll be controlling your sound levels through a cell phone app.
Yeah. I only wish like Mr. Tough 25-year-old me who's like, nah, fuck it. I don't need earplugs. Sounds like shit. If he could only see like 55-year-old version of me being like, what? No, I can't hear you. I fucking can't hear you. I don't know. It's gonna sound something like that.
So you guys are playing, you have a show in October, you said? Is that announced? Like, can we
Asbury
know where?
Park, baby.
Nice.
right.
There
We're
we go.
back.
Asbury Park House Band.
Where in Asbury?
That's at House of Independence
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
with Stretch Armstrong. That's October 20th.
Stretch Armstrong, Folly, and With Honor. Great show.
Yeah,
It's a great
Well,
show.
we'll try and be there.
Fun.
Awesome.
I can't think I'm doing anything that far away, but who knows?
Where are you based out of?
I'm in North Jersey in like Pompton Lakes, Wayne area.
Okay.
Brett's
I'm in
a little
Howell,
closer.
so it's like 25 minutes from Asbury, which is a beautiful
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah.
So you
It
guys
should be
got-
an hour for me, but it never is because
In Howell, do you consider yourself Central Jersey?
I do. Yep. We were
Good.
talking about that before you jumped on.
Oh, it's a thing.
It is a thing.
Brett's an advocate for Central Jersey. Apparently, we went to school in Central Jersey at Monmouth. So
You
Well,
did.
Jay and I were
believer.
born in we're like the Fertile Crescent of Central Jersey.
Hey,
Like
where's
the-
Hillsborough and Bridgewater? Isn't that Central Jersey?
Oh yeah, like
Right?
that's
Yep.
like the undebatable parts of Central Jersey. If you're
Yeah.
from like Somerset or Middlesex County, that's where even people who like don't believe in Central Jersey will be like, oh, okay, yeah, like you're kind of from there.
Yeah, I felt like
I
we were-
think the Howell, the Monmouth County is when you start getting into contested lands.
I feel like if you go into a 7-Eleven and you can find a Yankees air freshener next to a Phillies air freshener, you're in Central Jersey. Once
Oh.
once
I like
that
that.
once those
It's a good
that,
rule of
that
thumb.
shift occurs, you know you've left.
I don't know about that actually. I think that's your Western Central Jersey sensibility talking right now. 'Cause you're from farther west.
Because I
Like,
got it's all
New
it's all
Brunswick
New
and
York here.
East. You know, if you're trying to find some Philly shit in like Union County,
No,
good luck.
definitely
Not
not.
gonna
And
find
Union
it.
Definitely
County
not.
is definitely Central Jersey.
You used to be able to measure it by where there was a Wawa, because then
Yes.
you hit
Yeah.
stuff. But now that's
Not
even
anymore.
They're
more
everywhere
Wawa
now.
County.
Expanding.
Wow,
building them up here.
over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had to give up. I spent many years digging my feet in the sand, sticking up for QuikChek because I was a QuikChek loyalist, you know. And about 5 years ago, I had a QuikChek and Wawa sub within a couple weeks of each other, and I finally had to put the flag in. You know, Wawa is superior now. I hate to say it, but I did discover something, Nick. You'll appreciate this as like a late night fat kid eater like me. QuikChek makes a grilled cheese now on Texas
Ooh.
toast. Not bad.
You're not talking to me, but I've gotten that, so it applies
You
to
have
both.
it's pretty
Nicks.
good, right?
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
quick check down the block for me, and I've experimented with the grilled cheese.
And I love that
good.
now like you can order on the screen. So there's not even like fat shaming.
No,
Let
Like,
me
I
ask, let
use
me ask
that-
you something.
Yeah.
When the practice we had before the Trinity Church on the way
Uh-huh.
home, I stopped at QuikChek. I got a sub,
Yeah.
and I noticed there was no more white American. Is the grilled cheese all yellow American, or do they offer white American? Where
You know,
you're at?
this is the great thing about touchscreens these days. You can make
Pepper
the
jack.
grilled cheese with all of the QuikChek cheeses, like whichever.
But do they offer a white American?
They do.
See,
Or might have been a yellow. I don't know.
That's a good question.
interesting.
There was an American option for sure.
The question is, do you prefer white American over yellow?
I do.
American?
I do.
Is there a
Just
taste
sharper.
difference?
Yeah, I think a yellow's creamier and sweeter.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
you got to go pepper jack. That's where it's at.
That's
Well,
my
white
go-to.
is its natural color, right? Yellow, it's yellow because of an additive.
Probably.
I think white is the natural color of cheese. It's supposed to be. Yellow cheese has an additive to it. But yeah, I don't know when Wawa won the sub wars. Somewhere in the aughts, probably.
Do you
but-
call them hoagies now? You
Fuck
still call them
no.
sub? Okay.
No. No. I thought it was funny because I moved from Jersey City out to like West Jersey. So now I'm in Philly territory for like sports teams and stuff like that. And when the Eagles were making their run to the Super Bowl, there was local commercials with Jason Kelsey of the Eagles being like, it's called a hoagie, and I was like, oh man, if I could hate a sports team any more than I do right now, I'd rather call it a grinder. Fuck is a hoagie? What are you talking about here?
Benny,
It's a submarine sandwich.
What was it like meeting Eli?
Oh my God. I was starstruck. I really
bet.
was. It was crazy. He's bigger than I thought. That was my first thought, is because like when you watch him on screen next to those guys, he looks pretty paltry, you know. But then I meet him in person. I'm like, oh, you're significantly bigger human than I, you know, and I'm a pretty big human. So right off the bat, he smelled great. He seemed like if you ever met someone who's really rich and they just project like rich. It's like he was even just wearing like a sweater vest and a shirt, like nothing classy, but I knew that was just like a really expensive one.
Just smells like money.
Yeah, he just smelt rich to me.
Like Super Bowl rings.
But he was really friendly, you know, he was glad handing with people and giving time to everybody, myself included, even some punishers. But I got the distinct impression that like it was very robotic conversation. He's a guy who's had, you know, just tens of thousands of fleeting conversations with random people. So felt like he was on autopilot, but
he wasn't like the 45 Sound is my favorite album.
No, and I even dropped it too, because when I met him, you know, it's like a hi, I'm Benny, and in his head I can see it calculating who the fuck is this guy? He ain't shit. So I even like did my own name drop, and I'm like, you know, they play my band's song when the Devils score a goal. And then he's like, oh, cool, you know. I had to like try to get like a little more love from him, you know. But the funny thing was, but he was very friendly. He really was. And I'm like a massive Giants fan. I've always been like an Eli supporter. So it was like, it was pretty cool and surreal. And then when we were starting to leave, there was like security detail. And I thought it was kind of comical. Like me and Alex from Gaslight and like my wife are like, you know, in this like security detail to move back to like our seats. And we kind of like break off because no one's talking to us. Like it doesn't matter. And then I saw him just get fucking mobbed, you know, because it was like a Devils versus Rangers game, which means like all of them are Giants fans, or, you know, a lot of them. And he's just getting it from on literally like you just saw like this group of people form around. And I'm like, wow, that is like a level of like famous, like I'm not even like familiar with. That's crazy, you know. He's but it was cool. It was very cool. I'm a lifelong Giants fan, so I was happy to meet Eli.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him. That'd be cool.
Yeah, very tall, very tall.
Very tall.
Is he taller than you?
Yeah, like a couple inches. Yeah.
Man. So does Town Liar have more songs coming? Are you guys chilling on this album for now? What's the plan?
Yo, Jay's a beast.
There's always songs.
Jason, how many songs are you hiding right now?
We have 10 more that have just entered the loop.
Ooh.
The
So
Hyperloop.
we'll see when we can get them
Yeah.
on Bandcamp.
Yes.
And some of those songs we've had since we recorded the first, and I think
Yeah.
you guys just didn't have enough time to lay all the drums down. I mean, there were definitely two that were really close to done.
Yeah.
Those lies 8 through 18.
Yep.
We'll see if they make the cut after they're done.
Oh, that's
And-
great.
And Nick, I have a question for you. So, like, Nick and I were doing some background research before this interview.
Okay.
Are you really a school principal?
Yes, I am.
That's
I'm
so
a middle
cool.
School
Like,
principal.
You gotta
Your
play the
students
jam.
know that they have a cool principal.
I don't know. Like sometimes I think like occasionally like I'll like somebody will come up to me, but typically no, the teachers do, the kids don't. It's funny because when I went for this job, I actually had done a podcast years and years ago, and you know it was before I was a principal, and so like I had to make sure that was taken down like before I went for my interview, because like I was telling stories about like, you know, being on tour and all the crazy things on tour and stuff and whatever, and so I just had to make sure they were taken down. But yeah, like occasionally like a kid will find out, but it's pretty rare.
Man, I got to consider that I'd like to have fun in like interviews and stuff. Sometimes I got to make sure I don't incriminate you in any way.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Let
want to
it
get
fly.
you. Yeah, I don't want to get you canned.
Yeah, don't tell stories.
Wait, Nick, what are the chances next school year, of you getting up in front of the school and doing the Jimi Hendrix, you know,
Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, Star Spangled Banner in front of the school, just shredding it.
Blow their
Bring a
mind.
little 30-watt,
Do
go
it.
in front of like in the auditorium, and just do that in the morning.
Light
Will
it on
you do
fire.
it?
They're pretty high because like I'm just waiting for somebody to ask me. I think this year they asked me to play Blackbird, like to join the like the band kids playing, but it just didn't come to fruition. But
Okay.
I'm just waiting for the right song for them to ask
Okay.
me to come play my
So
guitar.
this wasn't like, no, I don't want to do it. You just haven't been asked yet.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I know
okay.
during COVID, we recorded like these intro videos for like the kids and the different of all my staff, and I did one too, and I did play guitar on that. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Use
So,
old Autumn songs and like the training videos.
it's right.
Got
Well, it's
it.
funny too. So another like a great thing was for Halloween this year, and I didn't even notice it, but like a bunch of my teachers and my vice principal, they had autumn shirts made.
Oh, really?
Like, and they were like groupies was like their Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Like it took me like I didn't even notice. Like that's how oblivious I am.
Autumn
and it's like a
groupies.
completely different world. So like I'm looking around, and then finally like I'm like, wait, what does that say? And then that's when, yeah. So they're all autumn shirts made.
I love that.
Yes. You need to have a school dance where the theme is like basement punk rock show.
Oh, that would be
Ooh.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I bet Lifetime would do it.
I'll be there. We'll both
Come
be
play
there.
your school.
Both be there.
How about what do we do? A Lifetime cover set? Town Liar Lifetime cover set at your school?
That would be great.
Oh, Dirk. I don't know if I can. It's too fast.
Fast.
We're both
Go
yeah.
ahead, Nick.
we're both reading this book right now about like the emo boom from like I guess
Oh yeah.
2000 to like and
Oh,
no, we read that one.
Oh.
This one's Where Are Your Boys Tonight
Oh, I just picked that up.
by Chris
I
Payne.
haven't started it yet.
It's
Wait, where
awesome.
did you
It's
get
really
it?
good.
Because I need to get a copy of that.
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah, I figured
Yeah.
online's probably the best.
Yeah. But it's killer. You're in it a bunch. Were you like interviewed for this, or did they just take things from other interviews you've done? I've always wondered with these like oral history books
You know what? I like
how this happens.
the way it was written, like nobody told me it came out. And then I just saw on Instagram a couple people had like posted a story of like the actual text, and I was in it. I gotta be honest, I don't remember doing the interview. But this also could have been when it was like, you know, a lot happened in the middle of 2020 that I
Yeah.
don't remember because I would, thought I was like gonna be fleeing to the Yukon with my family or whatever the fuck was happening at the time. So I'm, like I can't say for sure that it didn't happen. But the way it's quoted in there, I mean, I got to be under the impression we spoke directly and he used it, I would think. If
Yeah.
not, it's kind of weird.
AI.
Hey,
Yeah,
They
yeah,
talked
that's
to-
actually a Chat GPT version of me, and I didn't participate. Yeah.
There are mentions of Kid Dynamite shows in there too.
Where's my copy?
Yeah, I don't have one. I booked Kid Dynamite shows. Like, where's my copy?
It might have been you saying that.
Oh.
Now I think about it.
you were booking bands at like 14, according to this
Oh my
book.
God.
Yeah, 15 probably. I was
15?
like playing in bands at 14, but yeah.
God, Benny did more for the
That's
scene
gnarly. Yes.
like than anybody I can think of.
Aw.
Like
You found the one Elks Lodge with like a punk guy.
It's true.
It's
he
pretty
put on the
lucky.
best. I mean, like think about like the bands that he booked like at 14, 15 years old, and what he was able to accomplish and pull off, like it just is extraordinary. Like he did more for that Central Jersey scene than anybody that I can think of.
Aw, thanks, Nick.
Yeah, it's so insane. I wish I was like 5 years older. I was just slightly too young. I was
Yeah.
there for the end of it, but
That was me in
it's
City
so fun.
Gardens. It's funny story. I actually like City Gardens closed right when I was coming into like going to shows mode, and I had tickets to see Rancid play at City Gardens, and like I think a week or two before, I snuck to a show in Pennsylvania with Jay and Nick's old band called Bound. They
Was it
played
Beaver College?
Beaver College in Pennsylvania. I told my mom that I was going to a party at their drummer Dana's house and going to crash there for the night. My mom called to ask me a question and found out I was in a minivan headed to central Pennsylvania to a show at a place she never knew, with someone she didn't know driving. I was like 14 or something like that. So she was pissed. And my punishment was that I didn't get to go to City Gardens like a week or two later for the show. And then City Gardens closed like 2 months after that or something. So Bound is the reason I never got to go to City Gardens.
I apologize.
You fuckers. I had a blast though.
messed
That
up.
Beaver College show is probably pretty good.
It was
Is
fun.
that H2O?
It
Yeah,
is H2O.
H2O
Okay,
played.
yeah.
Step ahead, right?
Yeah.
Step Ahead, yeah.
Ubisoft?
Dave Haas's old band, Step Ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently it was a good gig.
That was a
And then
good
I
show.
believe we went back to Dana's and, grilled up some
Jumped in the
Vegan
pool.
vegetarian meats and jumped in the pool. I think it was probably worth it.
I think I was in Philly at that time. Wait, was I?
I'm not sure if you made
Nick
it to
I
the
was.
was.
pool
Nick, you
I
party.
think I
definitely
was.
were. Because I remember going to Temple
To get me,
University to get you. Maybe we picked you up.
maybe
now that I'm
that
thinking
sounds
about
I
about
don't
right.
remember. I was usually
definitely
hiding.
in
I was
Temple.
getting stoned with Dana's sister, hiding so the straight edge kids didn't get mad at us.
I mean, that's the other thing. Like to Benny's point earlier, like at that period in Jersey, you could go to. I mean, there was New Providence, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
There was Middlesex. There was New Brunswick, any house show or the Down Under.
Yep.
There was
Isn't it like Bordentown?
Elks.
Yeah, we had that
even there was a-
that Bates Lodge in Red Bank. That was great.
There was
The
a
Heckle
spot in, like,
House.
Cranberry, or where all kinds of lodges. Like there was so
Yeah.
many spots to, and I think kids were just inspired to put on shows because other young people were putting on shows. And it just kind of like everybody was inspired to do something. If they couldn't play an instrument or couldn't do this, they used their talents in other ways. Could be writing, it could be photography. It's just like
Games,
all
yeah.
those things just kind of everyone just kind of inspired everyone else. And I think like there became a time where it became a thing and it became I don't want to say a business, but it did. It became popular.
Yeah, that's it.
Where it became a commodity and
That's
venues
right.
just sort of booking agents got involved. Like then, young people became booking agents and then they said, well, we're not going to put our band in an Elks Lodge,
Right.
We're
Yeah.
gonna we want to put our band. We don't want to have our band play after 12 other bands played since noon.
Right.
We want to have our band play with 4 or 3 other bands.
Yeah.
Everything kind of evolved into this like
And my band's gonna
Monster,
need
With
where
case
every-
of water. and,
everything
yeah.
else just naturally kind of disappeared.
with
just-
$4 ticket
it-
prices and a can of food.
Yeah. It just kind of became extinct because venues stopped booking, the typical Jersey Joe Schmo's rock band, and they booked these young bands that were drawing
Mhm.
hundreds and hundreds of kids,
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. It was, in hindsight, I mean, I fucking hated it when it happened. And it was one of the reasons I even stopped doing shows at the Elks. Remember the first contract I got was H2O. And I called Toby so mad. It's like, what the fuck is this? Why am I getting a contract? Really, like mad. In hindsight, I was like 15. He was a grown adult. I probably didn't speak to him that way. But I was not happy about getting like a contract about the show. And he's like, yo, kid, that's a club contract, kid. Don't worry about it, kid. But I remember that was like when it first started, when it was like when you used to like literally call like the singer of the band at their house and try to book the show because they were booking the tour. And then it became booking agents. Then you got contracts and stuff like that. And, and I really did hate it at the time, but also I was just thinking about this the other day where like, because I saw Snapcase last weekend, so played with Snapcase. And I was thinking like how influential this band was to a complete generation of music afterwards. I mean, they completely changed the genre. And at the time when Snapcase was going, like, you couldn't make a career as a hardcore band. You know what I mean? Like as big as they could have been, they were probably still going home and working and not getting to be musicians for a career. And, you know, then these generations after who have booking agents and managers and labels and this and that, and the Warped Tour comes. And now all of a sudden this avenue exists where you can make money and you can actually play hardcore punk music like for a living. And there has to be an adult in the room at some point for stuff like that to happen. And there has to be money starts to come into play and the people who bring money. And like, so it's like this weird, like, you know, and I'm happy for a band like Snapcase. I'm like, yo, get back together and get fucking paid. Get paid now. You know, Botch is selling out places. And I'm like, good. They influenced bands so much who made so much money, and those guys didn't make dick. Go make your fucking cheddar. Like it's your time, you know? But then it did like kill this kind of communal romanticism to the whole thing too, that really did exist. Like, because it wasn't just people saying like, whoa, we need each other. Like, we needed each other. You know what I mean? If I didn't have this crew of people after the show helping me out, I mean, I'd show up to Manville half the time and they were fucking set up from bingo the night before, you know? And there I go. I'm beeping my friends, being like, yo, can you get down here in the next 15 minutes? We have like 65 fucking tables to break down and like 200 chairs before like By the Grace of God shows up or something, you know?
Yeah. I wonder if we can like get those things back. Like there's still great shows of small local bands and like there's still a scene, but I just feel like music is so accessible now that it almost hurts it in a way, because you could listen to everything everywhere and you don't get that same like this is ours like feel like that there used to be.
And I wonder if that kind of kills that local scene thing, you know, because when we were coming up, some of these cities had a very specific sound. You know, these bands, like there were Louisville bands.
Mm-hmm.
There were these bands from upstate New York. There was this Gainesville thing. There was Northern California, Southern California, and every one of these scenes, Minneapolis, like these places, they all had these pockets, these very unique bands doing something particular. And because they were stuck in these towns together, they were influencing each other. And I think a real unique sounds and scenes kind of popped out of that culture. And I do wonder if like internet accessibility and stuff has chipped away at that, because, you know, you can have a fan in California probably quicker than you can have a fan in your hometown if you know how to do that kind of stuff, you know. It's definitely changed it, I think.
I think too, like the conversations I remember when our first show was like we said earlier, was at like a New Brunswick basement show. And I remember, you know, just being at practice and all of us just sort of ruminating on the, like, do these things still happen? Like,
right.
Are we like, is it just that we're all in our 40s now? And, you know, is there a generation of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, like, and is it still going on? And we're just not aware of it, you know? And I still wonder, like, it's hard as like a 48-year-old principal, like, right. And to think like, is that still happening? And I think it is. I hope it is. I pray that it is. Cause I mean, that's obviously, you know, that was so formative to the three of us here, that time. And so I hope it does. And I hope it is. I think it is.
I think that basement show is an indication that it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, that was like, I was refreshed when I was there on how similar it felt, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was
I do recall Nick and I kind of shared the same kind of opinion. Like, we went in with a set, like we went in like, we're gonna play the record 30 minutes, and I think we played we played Beach, we played an extra song, so 32 minutes. And we were shocked at the brevity of everybody else's sets. Like,
oh right,
they were so quick, and like
the band before us was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah,
right?
we
And
played
like,
forever.
Did we over prepare for this?
I think so.
Like, everybody else just seemed so careless and nonchalant about this show. Like, oh, we're
Because
just
they're
playing a
still
basement
young and
show." Yeah.
cool. You know,
I
they're
forgot.
still
was-
young enough to not give a shit and be
Like
cool.
I felt like, are we overstaying our welcome? Like, are we
Yeah.
playing 2 songs too many?
No,
But we
it's
did.
just-
I mean, it was fine.
it's just we pay taxes now. We know how we just prepare for shit. It's different.
You don't want to be this way.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
happens.
yeah. I don't want to be this way.
This might be a dumb question, but like, what were shows like? Like, what was it like being there? Because like, I never got to experience one.
Being
Like a
where
basement
Like
show?
in a basement show, like back when things were starting to get bigger.
it was just a basement full of kids and kids spilling out into the backyard, you know, up
Yeah,
the back steps. It was a
Communal.
miracle that pipes didn't burst. I'm sure they did somewhere.
they did.
I mean, there was wiring and plumbing all over the place, dripping with sweat and condensation, blood.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Kid Dynamite playing with Leatherface and Hot Water Music in a New Brunswick basement.
Oh, what a show!
Like, it was insane.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's so
And
cool.
and there was always like the looming possibility of police coming.
Yeah,
Mhm.
might
Um,
not have been
you know-
Leatherface. Now that I think about it, might have been Kill Your Idols, but nonetheless, it was
nonetheless,
so insane.
yeah.
So intimate, right? I mean, like it's just such an intimate environment to be playing in somebody's basement, and like
Yeah,
even when you're playing a no stage with like at an Elks Lodge, it's not the same thing as playing no stage in a basement where like literally you're surrounded pretty much by kids and
yeah, and not to mention like you're at someone's house, so
Yeah.
like you want to take a shit or take a piss,
That's
the
worst
entire
part about
crowd
it.
is going
Yeah.
through somebody's house.
yeah.
You know, like
Oh my god.
that's
Yeah.
just how it works. Like it's
Like going back to our first show, like having to go up the stairs and like try to you feel like you're violating this because the people
Yes.
weren't the kids weren't even there. He was playing
That's a
another
fact.
show.
yeah,
with
he
his
wasn't
own
even in
band.
the house,
And
but
I'm
you
allergic
feel
to-
like you're. I'm like that's someone's bedroom. Like I'm,
I'm
not
allergic
supposed
to
be
cats
here.
and I'm smelling cats. I'm like, fuck, I this cat. I'm gonna like, go fuck up my throat. You go to the bathroom and there's like this dude's the whole house's toothbrushes.
Oh,
are
yeah.
there and their
You forget
shampoos.
how gross
taking
college
stock-
kids are.
You're
So
taking
gross.
stock of what kind of soap they use. You're just like,
Yeah,
I use that.
yeah.
It's
Like,
interesting.
oh, I,
there's
remember in
definitely-
1997 when I
It's
used
invasive for sure.
hard
and all
bar
basements were not
Irish
created
spring.
equal.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Like Dana's basement, was
Well,
much
yeah,
different
suburb
than a
New Brunswick
basement.
basements were
Yeah.
a different breed because,
Yeah.
and there is a reason why shows were always on that side of town is because, like that side of town, you don't get the cops called on you because your neighbors are not trying to call the cops, but the quality of let's just say the insulation, electric, and pipes are not above board. Let's say that. I don't think they've been inspected.
It's certainly not the one we played.
I used to have a landlord in New Brunswick with no thumb. Had to pay like a front kitchen remodeling place to pay my rent. So sketch. So sketch.
Had to buy him a new thumb.
Yeah, he sent a guy who tried to attack me to fix my house once. It was crazy.
Oh my
He told me
God.
he was the bass player for Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then he tried to kick me down my own stairs. Real story.
I guess like another way to answer your question is it's the caliber. I feel like the caliber of bands that played basements like back then you probably wouldn't get now, unless
It'd
it
be
was
too
like
big for basements.
I think so. I think it's too popular of a genre of music where like if someone puts out a popular record and it picks up steam, like I said about the venues earlier, they're probably not going to play it in a basement.
Yeah.
Whereas then you could have seen the Get Up Kids in a basement. You
Yeah,
probably did. Saves the
Like
day.
saves the day.
Like
Nah.
I played basements with Saves the Day. That was more prone to happening then, I think, than now.
Yeah,
Not,
probably.
not
People
only
didn't
that,
realize how big it was going to be then. It was new and like a surprise. And now, like you said before, it's a whole industry, which is great.
Right.
A lot of good bands come out of it. And like we still have great times at like Starland and stuff,
Sure.
screaming along to like our favorite albums, but it would be nice to just like go into some gross basement and sing that way.
Right. And that like and when I say this, we have to consider you have to consider the band's livelihoods too. Like They put a lot.
Yeah.
They put a lot of on the line, and they should get paid. You can't get, you got to play the maximum, so the maximum amount of people to
And
get
to
get paid, to make a living.
to Jason's point too, like the crazy thing is like back in that time too, you'd go see like Into Another at like John Hill's house, and then like you'd see them a week later at like City Gardens or
Right.
of like
Yeah.
I mean, like how crazy is that? Like where they're playing from a packed basement of like maybe 100 kids to like City Gardens where there's hundreds and hundreds of kids. Like it's
And
just
headlining
headlining,
City
right.
Gardens. Yeah.
yeah. Or to the truck, right? Like
yeah.
and like within a week. Same with Lifetime. Like it's like all those bands, it was cool. Like they'd play like little basements, but then they'd play these big club shows.
That sounds so fun. We did just see we saw Less Than Jake a couple weeks ago at House of Independence. And when I saw in the book, Benny used to book them like way back in the day too.
Yeah, I booked them in Manville. Yeah. The show was Less Than Jake and Weston and Nowhere Fast.
Oh, I remember Nowhere Fast.
Yeah, who was Tyler, who wound up in Midtown. That was his first band, Nowhere Fast. And Ryan Roberts, who wrote that book.
Mhm.
Nimrod.
Nimrod, yeah. Yeah. That was fun. I Less Than Jake, I don't know. I still to this day I just can't listen to punk with horns, man. It just doesn't do it for
Not
me.
a ska fan.
I like ska. I've discovered this about myself, and it was because of a recent band. Have you
Catbite?
listened to Catbite at all?
Catbite's amazing.
Yeah.
I
they're
think
great.
they're great, and I was like automatically drawn to it. And I was like, why do I like them but not? And I realized I don't love horn ska. I love it with the organ.
Wow.
Because when you do those like swelling organ stuff, a lot of the music to me kind of sounds like soul. It kind of
Yeah.
has like almost like a soul Motown kind of vibe with just
More
like a
rootsy.
different, lyrical sensibility. And it's the horns are the thing that put me over the top that like I just can't connect my ear with. And I was like, because I love the Agrolites. I love Catbite. I love so I'm really drawn to that cool like classic organ when they use that in ska music. I think that's cool as fuck.
What about bagpipes?
You know what? The Departed ruined it, it's like I did like that shit until it was just like completely co-opted by like St. Patrick's Day and the fucking Red Sox.
Red Sox.
Yeah, like now I just
Anvil.
I just have to hate it by default now.
So no horns on the upcoming Gaslight album. Confirmed.
I've been trying to get Brian. I've been pitching a flute part pretty hard. And at
Jethro
first
Tull?
it started
Yeah,
as kind of a joke, like the Tull. I was like, yo, let's rip it like the Tull. And he's like, yo, find me an example of a flute not sucking on a song, and like maybe I'll do it. And I found so many, mostly from the early 70s, like kind of like this one Curtis Mayfield record, Sweet Exorcist, uses a lot of like sexy little flute licks. You'll catch them on like Isaac Hayes records. So I sent a bunch of examples. I thought I had them, but I don't think they're showing up on the record. He's
How
anti
about a pan flute? Underrated.
That'll be the hidden track.
Peter
Track
Gabriel.
11 is for the meditation track.
Do you
There's like 10
Jethro
minutes
Tull?
of silence. Then
I dig on some Tull. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Do you
Benny,
hate the Tull?
Um,
You hate the Tull, Nick.
no comment.
You don't like Jethro Tull. I can tell. It's
Benny,
okay.
do you realize how much gas you've thrown on the fire of Bruce might show up in Asbury by doing
Oh.
a song with him? You've reignited that every show. The whisperings that Bruce might show up.
Well, that's fine. Maybe some Brucey's will buy more tickets.
Hey,
I
might
thi-
show up for the Stretch Armstrong show. You never know.
Oh my god, dude!
That'd
These
be
are the
wild.
connections
See?
I'm dying to have trickle down. If just some old school Brucey fans wind up seeing With Honor that day, yeah, that'll fucking crack me up. I'll take
Jason
that.
just sold 100 tickets there.
Honestly,
We'll clip that.
Gaslight shows are dealing with a problem like that with our crowds because, half our crowds kind of have the punk spirit and they want to crowd surf and they want to dance and kind of go wild. And then I feel like a lot of the crowd now are people who have never been to a punk and hardcore show in their life. So like they get kicked in the head and they're like, what the fuck just happened? Like it's a great injustice. Someone just kicked me in the head. Because in a normal context, you wouldn't really let that fly, you know? So yeah, I have been noticing, and I like look out a lot when I play, and I've seen a lot of conflict spurring in the low parts of Gaslight shows because of this cross section that's not exactly enjoying music the same way, let's say.
Bruce might show up, or you might get kicked in the head.
Yeah,
That's
one
the
might have.
beauty of shows.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. There's seats in the back left, if, you know. And you know me, like I see people starting to go up, and I'm like, all right, good. Now it's a show. People are getting worked up, you know. And then I see someone, you know, someone get mad at him, yank him down or something. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, just stand further back.
Yeah,
it's
just go
okay.
somewhere else. This is the fun part. Fuck.
Got to
Yeah,
get Jay and Nick to make a cameo.
Yo, come up. Jay, would you do it?
Do what?
Come up and sing a song with us?
Gaslight.
Sure.
Yeah.
They'll be like, who's this boner up there on stage?
This is good. I can't believe they let someone in a Phillies hat up here.
This guy doesn't look cool.
That's my principal.
Who's this dude in shorts?
So Town Liar, House of Independence, October.
Yeah, working on new music. Did you just book another show too?
Yeah.
Is that confirmed?
We confirmed a show. I'm gonna pull it up now. It's in Allentown. It's on November 10th at Club Carrigan's, and that's with Crossed Keys and Neck Scars. Just confirmed that one.
Nice.
Do you have any scars on your neck?
I don't.
Right,
I'm
pimple
good.
scars.
Sometimes I cut myself shaving. Does that count?
Sure.
That could count.
Yeah.
They scar.
You just gotta come up with a good story about it.
Yeah, yeah. I was crowd surfing at a Gaslight show.
It's like the movie Airplane when you're trying to shave in the airplane bathroom when it's crashing.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Thank
No,
you.
that's-
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We'll have you back when the
definitely,
new music comes out.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. This is the first podcast we've done collectively as a band for this band.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have to scrub it from the internet this time.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
I
nothing
think I was on my
incriminating
best
here?
behavior.
I think
I
you're
mean,
good.
Benny cursed a lot, so but I think that's okay because I could just disavow him.
Yeah.
I
I've
mean,
heard worse from their
Nick.
parents, I'm sure.
You work at a fucking high school. Like
Middle
come on,
school.
Grow up.
It's a
Grow up.
I love it. Thank you guys so much.
I
We'll see
appreciate
you
you.
in October. I hope.
Awesome.
Thanks for having
Look
us
forward
on.
to
Be dragged there, I'm gonna willingly go. So
Yeah, nice. All right, have a
Thank
good
you
night,
so much,
everyone.
guys.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
and
All
thanks,
right,
guys.
Later.
Peace.